YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite. We're back with another video, guys. I'm glad we could finally get back to a video, man. It's been way too long. Obviously, I've only gotten one video out since I got back from CWL New Orleans, which was the video about the newest update. And then again, they roll out another update. I don't know how they can change so many things about the game. I don't know even what the point of the beta was at this point. Like, why do they even have a beta? Why do they fly players out to test the game if they're not going to make a game that's really good at the beginning? It doesn't really make sense, but I'll trust them. I'll trust the process a little bit. I haven't got enough of a chance to try out the new health regen yet. I haven't had a chance to really try out any of that stuff yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays in competitive. And let me know what you guys think of that down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But today, obviously, we're finally talking about New Orleans. And we're finally talking about upcoming LAN League, which starts tonight. So I hope I can get the video out tonight. If I can't, then it's going to be late and really lame. And I guess we're going to see if some of my predictions come true before the video even goes live. But first, let's talk about New Orleans, because it was an awesome event. Even though some of the teams like Optic didn't perform as well as a lot of teams thought they were going to, I thought the event was really exciting. Obviously, the finals were fantastic, with TK and LG really going at it and having an unbelievable final series, which was really fun to watch. So basically what we're going to do is just go through some of the teams and some of the things that I thought were interesting about the tournament. But to kick us off, I think we should talk about some of the best teams and most elite teams at New Orleans. And then we'll transition into the LAN League and what I think is going to happen and what could happen and what we should be looking for in the LAN League. First, some of you guys wanted to see some of the clips I was getting from New Orleans. I just want to show you what I was experiencing at New Orleans. So let's fire up some of these clips right now. So as you guys can see, New Orleans was a really great setup and really was ran so smoothly, and everything basically went to plan, stayed on schedule for the most part. And so honestly, it was a great event. Okay, so finally, as you guys all know, TK won the event. And what's crazy about how they won the event is that they had an overall team KD under 1. They had a .96 team KD at the event in all 3 game modes. And you know, that's what TK does though. They don't necessarily have to slay out to win. They play the objective so perfectly. They understand in hardpoint when to move from hills, how to play the time right, and they just have those clutch 2v1s or those little small situations where you need the 2 kills, and that's what holds them together. And they do it so well, and it's honestly absolutely mind-blowing. And I definitely in the future want to go look at some of their matches. Oh, that also reminds me that Learn from the Pros will be the next video coming out. I want to put out another one. I mean, they're my favorite to make, and I know that you guys love them, so I'm excited to do another one. Leave your comments down below which match you guys think we should do. I'm leaning right now towards doing the LG versus TK match from New Orleans, but if you guys have any other matches you guys want to see, let me know and we can fire that one up. What I thought was really crazy about TK's performance was that Theory didn't seem to play very well throughout the whole tournament, and his stats really show that. He really struggled. Overall, he had a .78 KD throughout all of the game modes. I mean, that's just terrible. TK really had to adjust and make that happen, but at the end of the day, even though Theory was struggling this much, they didn't even drop a series, and they ended up winning the tournament even with Theory playing as he was. It'll be really interesting to see what they can do, and we're going to talk more about them, of course, when we talk about the LAN League. So then, of course, Luminosity finished second. They lost to LG in the grand finals, coming from losers bracket. They won the first series and then lost in the final series, actually. And obviously, you guys haven't seen those yet. They're absolutely crazy matches, so you guys need to check those out. They're legitimately crazy. Their team KD was a little bit better at a 1.07, and what really stood out in their matches was how good Octane was. Octane played fantastic the whole weekend. Yeah, Octane in respawn was absolutely insane. He had a 1.35 KD in respawn, which was obviously one of the best of the tournament. When you pair Luminosity's veteran experience and the slaying power that they have, obviously they're a fantastic team. They're really good. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do in the LAN League, which we'll talk about again in the future. But based off what they've been doing in the past, their performance at New Orleans was honestly pretty successful. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if we end up seeing them win an event. Then, of course, we have to talk about the 2 teams here. We got to talk about Red Reserve. We got to talk about Optic. Obviously, Red Reserve made that huge run, ended up beating Optic, and then made a run all the way to top 4. They were so energetic, and it's crazy to see because in pool play, they only went 6-8. But then they hopped out of pool play in the losers bracket and went on this massive run, beating a handful of elite teams and knocking out Optic along the way. And I don't think anybody saw that coming, especially with Europe really slacking this event, where Splyce did not play well, and a lot of other European and foreign teams didn't play well. But then Red Reserve really made that run, finished top 4, really represented Europe pretty well. And it's hard to project what they'll be doing in the future. I doubt they would ever win an event, but I could see them finishing, you know, top 6, top 8, most of these events. So it's good to see Red Reserve making a move like that, and their run was absolutely respected. Of course, we got to talk about Optic Gaming. Man, what a disappointing performance for them. They finished top 12, which was their worst in years. And what was just even more surprising was how they beat up on their pool. They went undefeated in their pool. They ended up losing to Echo Fox in the winners bracket, and then immediately lose to Red Reserve, and that's how they finished top 12. I was sitting there reffing the Faze Envy game right when they were playing, so I was right next to them watching them lose that game slowly but surely. After they blew that St. Marie hardpoint, it was all downhill from there. I couldn't believe that they lost. Kind of a sad mood for the rest of the event, because there's a lot of Optic fans there, obviously. And when Optic loses, there's not as much hype at the event. So that's too bad to see. It just didn't seem like they were in sync. They talked about that in Vision with Scump's internet and how it really hindered their practice, and that they were struggling to get good practice in, and that they were creating bad habits because of how much they had to carry Scump online because of his internet. And so that probably has something to do with it. They probably came in a little bit too cocky. They probably came in a little bit too overconfident. And I mean, all of that led into their demise. I mean, there's not many other words to call it besides just the absolute failure of a weekend for them, where, I mean, they should be finishing top 4 every event. I just wanted to touch on those biggest storylines when it came to the New Orleans, since this is a little bit of a later video. And then, of course, I want to talk about the Pro League. And man, guys, when it comes to the Pro League, I don't think there's too much to say. But with these seasons played before the playoffs, I have to imagine that Optic's going to rebound. And I truly believe that they're going to come back with some internal fire, with a little bit of a passion for the game again that they just may not have had before New Orleans. I project that Optic will be the #1 seed heading into the playoffs, and I see TK being the #2 seed. Again, Luminosity, I think, will be the 3 seed. I believe with how Octane is playing right now, if he can carry any of that into the Pro League, they're going to be an absolutely elite team, and it's going to be really tough for anyone to beat them. I wanted to touch on Eunited real quick, because I'm not necessarily sure what's happened with them. They've been so close in so many tournaments where, like, it comes down to a round 11 or some sort of blown lead in hardpoint. It just seems like they have that series won and they end up losing it. It's going to take a little bit more time for those guys to get accustomed to playing together on a slower paced game. And I think within the next few weeks, EU could be an absolutely elite team again. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the top 3 or 4 seeds as well. I think they'll probably be around a 5 seed if I had to guess. I wouldn't be surprised at all if EU ended up winning the Pro League. They have a roster that you can really believe in, and their players are experiencing the big moments on the biggest of stages these last 2 years. And I think they have a lot to prove still, and they really, really want to win this. I think EU is a team that's been overlooked this last week or so. EU is a team to watch going into the event to see how they can perform and see how they stack up. Obviously, this video wasn't as stacked with information and content as it normally is. Of course, as every YouTuber always says, I've been busy this last week or so, and I only got 1 video out, so I've been disappointed about myself. I'm recording this the day of the LAN League, so I'm not doing as good of a job as I should be doing. Like I said, Learn from the Pros will be coming out in the next few days, so be on the lookout for that. But as always, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Share it if you guys really enjoy it. But as always, guys, I am your boy, SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. But that is completely aside from the point. I went into Black Ops 2 with basically no Call of Duty experience. I had barely ever played multiplayer, and it honestly got me pretty excited about it, because one of my friends who had the MW2, MW3, who wasn't